There are so many of these frequently asked questions which I've mentioned in today's talk, and it's also available online. Just make note of those questions and start answering them every day, and every day, each and every day, refine your answers, because it's not necessarily what you wrote on day one is the perfect answer.
How to prepare for behavioral rounds. Like, what would be the ideal strategy, timeline, and resources to follow?
Hmm. Right. So the biggest and the only way that I know or I have seen people prepare for their behavioral round of interview is to actually make notes of your achievements so far. This is the most underrated step, which most people don't follow. In fact, even today, I tell my mentees, uh, anywhere, my individual mentees or group mentees, whoever it is, that the moment you achieve something, make a note of it. You might forget later. Why? Because however small or big your achievement is, it doesn't matter. That could be the content of your interview responses. You might forget. See, because when you are doing something wrong, a few people might appreciate you and it might get lost from your memory. But when you do something wrong, 100 people will come and pinpoint, and you will only remember the blunders that you created, right? So always, I mean, it's an ongoing process. In case you haven't done that as an ongoing process, then sit down, take an hour. So when it comes to timeline, it could be ranging from maybe 1 hour to, say 1 week, where every day you set up a time, you sit down and think about every phase of your life. What have you achieved? If you have those certificates, if you have some medals, whatever it is, take them out. See, try to play, just kind of live those days back and understand what did you achieve, how did you achieve. Make notes of those. And yeah, I think that's the only way you can really prepare for a behavioral round of interview. Make note of your failures and successes and what you learned from it, because behavioral rounds are all about stress related questions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Dhwani. So, I want to emphasize a little bit more on the resources part over here. How
Mhm.
does one prepare for these rounds? Yes, considering that a candidate notes down all the mistakes and the positive things that they're doing, but apart from that, if somebody wants to enhance their interview skills, or somebody wants to even boost their confidence, are there any specific resources for them to follow?
Pre-placed. Pre-placed, right? I mean, we have people here who can help candidates, not just in the technical rounds of interview, but even behavioral rounds, right? Not just myself, there are a few others as well. So you could, what I feel is that to improve your communication and to build your confidence, the only way is to keep practicing. So either you practice in front of the mirror every day for 3 minutes, practice in front of the mirror. What will you practice? Practice about your introduction. Tell me something about yourself. That little question is going to, the more you practice it, it becomes your second nature, and then it becomes so natural to you that it just comes out very effortlessly, and that gives you a whole bunch of confidence, right? Other ways to practice could be maybe send out voice notes to your friends, have like a accountability partner, and send out voice notes to each other or video notes to each other, and become more friendly with yourself, whether it's in front of the mirror or in front of the camera. Do that, or opt for mock interviewers like us, and do it professionally. If you feel that your friends or your siblings are not going to be able to help you out because they have a bias towards you, then take professional help. That's the only way you can practice and make valuable use of it.
Absolutely, Dhwani. That's a very sound piece of advice. And I hope that a lot of viewers here would definitely go for a mock interview with Dhwani. Right, Dhwani, I would like to just touch upon the timeline bit once more. Let's say a mentee is preparing for the behavioral interview, and the interview is coming up in 2 weeks. Then, what is the how does one play around with the timeline? As in, what is the ideal time? Does it a candidate should have in mind when they're preparing for the behavioral rounds, according to you?
See, I feel on an average, if the candidate is having only 2 weeks to go before the interview, there is no other choice but to make use of those 2 weeks fully, right? So I would say every day, sit down for half an hour and make notes. There are so many of these frequently asked questions which I've mentioned in today's talk, and it's also available online. Just make note of those questions and start answering them every day, and every day, each and every day, refine your answers, because it's not necessary what you wrote on day one is the perfect answer. Refine your answers, and I'm not saying by heart them. Nobody's going to be able to do it verbatim, word to word, right? Refine your answers every day and go for at least two mock interviews every week, because you have only 2 weeks. Go for at least two mock interviews every week, so that you have a solid 4 hours, which is four mock interviews before you have your main interview to attend.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dhwani. Great. This was a very, very insightful session. And the last tip that you added was, I personally find it extremely good, that don't try to memorize the answers. There's always the risk of sounding synthetic or, things like that. So always be spontaneous in answering those questions. Right?